Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Objective Truth. I'm Caleb.
And I'm Nissa.
So tonight we're going to be trying things a little bit differently. We put the TV behind us because we're going to be reacting to Biden's speech that he made on Thursday night. I think it's pretty important that we go through it. Probably go through the whole thing.
It's only a 26-minute speech.
Right. So he just said a ton of things that were just basically just not true, and it was a very dangerous speech to give by a sitting president. But in the meantime, if the audio seems a little bit off, in the meantime, please bear with us. We had to mess with the audio a little bit and actually to make this work because we only have two microphones. So
we're very low budget here, people.
Extremely.
You're just hanging out with us in our family room.
Basically $30 budget to be exact. But hopefully this is okay for you guys. We wanted to start off before we got into Biden's speech, though.
Happy Labor Day, y'all.
Labor Day weekend, yes.
Happy Labor Day. Before we got into Biden's speech.
And it is almost midnight for us at the moment.
It is.
But before we got into Biden's speech, we wanted to show you a couple of things that will put this speech into context for you. And it's going to be a montage. I'm not going to explain what's in the montage. You're just going to have to watch the video and find out for yourself. And we'll end that montage, then we'll come back. So without further ado, here's the montage.
You can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee. And you can have the election stolen from you.
How can you win with Russian interference, though?
That's
what
real
I'm
thing.
scared about in 2020.
But rightly.
Because I think he's an illegitimate president that didn't really win. So how do you fight against that in 2020?
You are absolutely right.
He's an illegitimate president in my mind.
Would you be my vice presidential candidate? Folks, look, I absolutely agree.
Trump didn't actually win the election in 2016. He lost the election, and he was put into office because the Russians interfered.
Trump knows he's an illegitimate president.
The president-elect, although legally elected, is not legitimate.
I don't see this president-elect as a legitimate president.
You said you believe that Russia's interference altered the outcome of the election.
I do. We have a president who, if in fact it is proven, has been assisted by the Russians and may in fact not be a legitimate president.
The one thing that Trump is fearful of when it comes to his being president is that finally we will see how illegitimate his victory actually was.
I have an objection.
I object to the 15 votes from the state of North Carolina. I object because people are horrified.
He's an illegitimate president.
Do you believe Trump is a legitimate president?
What I believe is that there's no question that the outcome of this election was affected by the Russian interference.
There absolutely is a cloud of illegitimacy.
So that legitimacy is in question, yes. So that was a very tainted election. And in that sense, it's illegitimate.
Why do you think the president is going to such great lengths to essentially prove that he beat you?
Because he knows he didn't. He knows he's an illegitimate president.
Stolen emails, stolen drone, stolen election. Welcome to the world of unprecedented Trump.
So do you believe President Trump is an illegitimate president?
Based on what I just said, which I can't retract.
The Russian attempt to have the election, and frankly, the FBI is weighing in on the election, I think makes his election illegitimate.
There was a widespread understanding that this election was not on the level. We still don't know what really happened, Isaac. I mean, there's just a lot that I think will be revealed, history will discover, but you don't win by 3 million votes and have all this other shenanigan stuff going on and not come away with an idea like, whoa, something's not right here.
The outcome of the election was affected by their interference, and now we need to know, to what degree, if any, the Trump campaign was actually in collusion with Russia.
He knows he's an illegitimate president. So of course he's obsessed with me, and I believe that it's a guilty conscience.
We actually won the last presidential election, folks. They stole the last presidential election.
And Al Gore won that election. I think he won it anyway.
Actually, I think I carried Florida.
Bush versus Gore. A court took away a presidency.
If all the votes were counted in Florida, that Al Gore would be president today and George Bush would be back in office.
I come from Florida, where you and others participated in what I call the United States
coup d'etat.
There's no doubt in my mind that Al Gore was elected president.
I rise to object to the fraudulent 25 Florida electoral votes.
I must object because of the overwhelming evidence of official misconduct, deliberate fraud, and an attempt to suppress voter turnout.
It is signed by myself on behalf of my diverse constituents and the millions of Americans who have been disenfranchised by Florida's inaccurate vote count. The Supreme Court, not the people of the United States, decided this election.
Speaking to a Democratic group in Chicago Tuesday, he made it clear he thinks Al Gore was the winner.
By the time it was over, our candidate had won the popular vote, and the only way they could win the election was to stop the voting in Florida.
Catherine Harris, Jeb Bush, Jim Baker, and the Supreme Court hadn't tampered with the results, Al Gore would be president.
The Supreme Court elected the president.
2004, yes.
Al Gore won the state of Florida in 2000, although not the presidency.
But the Supreme Court tampered? That's a large charge. The Supreme Court stopped the counting of the votes, and if they'd let the count go on, Al Gore would have got the necessary votes.
The Supreme Court selected George W. Bush as the president. He was not elected.
There is overwhelming evidence that George W. Bush did not win this election.
What I observed as a voter, as a citizen of Illinois 4 years ago, were troubling evidence of the fact that not every vote was being counted.
I don't think that George W. Bush won the election in 2000 against Al Gore, because I think he probably lost Florida and also that nationwide.
If you invite me back on this show in about 8 weeks, I think you're going to learn that Al Gore actually did get all the votes there.
The court has been thwarting formation of the popular will, the most spectacular example being Bush versus Gore, where the majority, by a 5-4 vote, enjoined the counting of more than 100,000 ballots in Florida and essentially gave America its first court-appointed president.
I think in 2000, everybody thought, well, he did win the election, Al Gore.
After the election, when you stole the election, you came back here and said, get over it. No, we're not going to get over it.
You know it, I know it, they know it. We won that election.
Constantly shifting vote tallies in Ohio and malfunctioning electronic machines which may not have paper receipts have led to additional loss of confidence by the public.
The right to vote has been stolen from qualified voters.
In 2004, the democratic process was thwarted.
The 2004 presidential election in Ohio was riddled with unnecessary problems.
Some machines malfunctioned, causing votes to be counted more than once, or not at all.
Based upon an inordinate number of allegations suggesting gross voting rights violations and misconduct, I join with my colleagues in objecting to counting the state of Ohio's electoral votes.
As in 2000, the votes of many who wanted to vote were not, in fact, counted.
This last Friday night, I arranged to meet Senator Kerry at a fundraiser to give him a copy of my book. He told me he now thinks the election was stolen.
The wife of John Kerry said she has lingering doubts about the legitimacy of the election. Her theory goes like this. Two brothers, she calls hard right Republicans, own 80% of the voting machines in the U.S. Therefore, it would be easy to hack into the mother machines that control the electronic voting.
There were numerous irregularities in Ohio, including large percentages of rejections of provisional balloting, problems with voting machines.
As we look at our election system, I think it's fair to say that there are many legitimate questions about its accuracy, about its integrity. There are still legitimate concerns over the integrity of our elections.
I agree with tens of millions of Americans who are very worried that when they cast the ballot on an electronic voting machine, that there is no paper trail to record that vote.
The numerous irregularities that occurred with the electronic voting machines in Ohio on November the 2nd of last year point to an unresolved national crisis.
We cannot declare that the election of November 2nd, 2004 was free and clear and transparent and real. There must be independent testing of the voting machines used in Ohio.
I'm not confident that the election in Ohio was fairly decided. We know that there was substantial voter suppression, and the machines were not reliable.
The members of Congress who have brought this challenge are speaking up for their aggrieved constituents, many of whom may have been disenfranchised in this process.
Treating today's electoral vote count in Congress
as a meaningless ritual would be an insult to our democracy unless we registered our own protest against the obviously flawed voting process that took place in so many of our states.
Voters who wish to cast a vote for president or vice president can't approach the polls with certainty that their vote will be counted.
One of the most significant problems in Ohio and in many other states was the lack of measures to ensure the integrity of electronic voting machines.
In 2004, they caused Democratic voters in Ohio to wait for 8 hours before they could cast their ballot. They turned the Department of Civil Rights of the Justice Department into the voter suppression division with voter ID laws, voter purging, voter caging, voter intimidation. There aren't going to be any more election stealings.
And despite the final tally and the inauguration and the situation we find ourselves in, I do have one very affirmative statement to make. We won.
Without voter suppression, Stacey Abrams would be the governor of Georgia. Andrew Gillum is the governor of Florida.
You refused to concede and say that you lost. Do you stand by that decision today?
Absolutely. The election was not fair. The process was not fair.
If Stacey Abrams doesn't win in Georgia, they stole it. It's clear. It's clear.
I think that Stacey Abrams' election is being stolen from her.
It was not a free and fair election.
Brian Kemp stole the gubernatorial election from Georgians and Stacey Abrams.
But will I say that this election was not tainted, was not a disinvestment and a disenfranchisement of thousands of voters? I will not say that.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful. Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless. When they go low, we kick them. How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
That's it right there, pulling up. I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not, generally speaking, unruly.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protesters.
Peaceful protest. Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest. Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protests.
Peaceful protesters.
On behalf of myself, my children, and the family of David Dorn, we'd like to thank friends, neighbors, co-workers, and the community for showing all the love and support we've suffered through the tragic loss of my husband, my beloved husband, David Dorn. We'd also like to thank St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department for their hard work and perseverance through this investigation, as well as Circuit Attorney's Office. He dedicated his life to the city of St. Louis, retiring at the rank of captain after 38 years of distinguishable service. Then as the chief of Moline Acres for almost 6 years. During those years, he's touched so many lives as a friend, mentor, co-worker, and guardian. His life was senselessly taken from me, from us, by an opportunist who had no regards for human life or the law. This didn't have to happen, but it must have been God's plan for David. We need to come together as a community and do better. We need to teach our young people that life is very precious. We as a family are going to be taking some time to focus our attention on healing, which is very important as we move forward. We would like David's legacy to be remembered as a loving husband, father, grandfather, brother, uncle, friend, colleague, and most importantly, a child of God. I'm going to thank you all for coming, and God bless you all.
Oh! That's the Tom! Oh,
Please don't tell me what to do.
oh! Yeah! Oh yeah, boy! That's my boy! That's my
So, that was all something, huh? You look at all of that, and it kind of gives you this perspective of, wow, they have been tearing down the country for 2 years. I mean...
Oh, well, I mean, they've been election deniers since the early 2000s. As you saw in some of those clips, they were denying...
Yeah.
You know, they were going off of... You know, Al Gore's actually the one that's president.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, basically claiming that George Bush was an illegitimate president. I mean, they've been doing this for over 20 years.
And then we've got the whole Stacey Abrams thing with Georgia.
Of course, I was in elementary school when Al Gore and George Bush were running against each other, so I hardly really remember any of that.
I lived in Florida during that election, and Florida had hanging Chad situation. Woo, that was a debacle, I tell you what. And then the violence from the left. So yes, it's extremism. That is the actual extremism. You actually have people out there burning down cities, and
they burnt pretty much every major city in the country during the summer of 2020. And I wanted to make this point before we moved on. You know, they keep preaching about January 6th and conservatives rioting on the Capitol, which was not a wise thing to do, by the way. Don't condone breaking the windows and all of that kind of stuff and storming the Capitol.
Which we don't even necessarily believe that it was true Trump supporters who broke the windows and stuff, because we do know for a fact that there were FBI agents in that crowd inciting stuff. So who's to say who actually broke the windows?
FBI has actually said as much.
Right.
But either way, conservatives should have been smarter to follow along, because I know that there were conservatives that actually did go in with those people. But either way, I had family that was there. They did not go into the Capitol, but they were outside during this time. Anyway, my point being is that you never see conservatives, you never see Republicans going out and rioting and burning cities down and everything like that.
Nobody threw a Molotov cocktail into the Capitol building. Nobody set a dumpster on fire and rolled it through the rotunda. Like, that didn't happen.
Yeah, and you actually see that.
And this was the greatest threat to our democracy?
Right. And of course, we just saw that tweet from Swalwell saying that there was a cop that died on the scene. And okay, I'm sorry, that's an actual flat-out lie.
Right.
No cops died on the scene.
Right.
And I asked, and I actually responded to that tweet. Please name the cop. Please name the cop that died on the scene. I'd love for you to name the cop that died on the scene, because that is a flat-out lie. The only person that died on the scene was Ashley Babbitt.
Right.
He was shot by a trigger-happy cop. So either way, my overall point, though, is that you see the left, everything that they targeted over the entire country in the summer of 2020, they targeted courthouses, they targeted police departments, they targeted churches. Okay? When conservatives showed up en masse to make a statement, they targeted the actual institution in which they felt was illegitimate.
Right.
The institution, the only target, the Capitol,
was actually where the votes were being not standardized, not fortified. What is the word?
Counted or
recognized?
Certified?
Certified.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you. Yes. And that was the correct place to put your...
To make your statement.
Yeah.
If you had a statement to make, you target the actual institution.
Protest. That's what I was going for.
You target the institution in which you feel needs to be targeted in order to get your statement across.
Yes. And the left is consistently going after churches.
Well, they burnt down the church right across the street from the White House.
Right.
And that's my point. Conservatives target the institution. The left seems to have a habit of targeting
just
religious
yes.
institutions, not political institutions. I want to make that distinction. Capital is a political institution, representative of a political institution. The left targets religious institutions, and there's a reason for that. It's because they're godless. They're moralists. They don't live by any moral laws. Therefore, if you don't live by any moral laws, you can't live by any political laws either, because political laws are derived from moral laws. You have to have a basis of morality in order to have a political institution for laws. You have to have a basis. The basis was, which we believe as Christians, the 10 Commandments God gave to the Jewish people on Mount Sinai. That alone, in fact, that actually set the stage historically for all moral laws and political laws to be built off of those things.
Right.
Without moral laws, which is what they're attacking, because they want anarchy, and we've talked about this before in our very first video that we did on this channel, moral relativity. You can't have moral relativity because every law that exists and all law and order is derived from moral objectiveness.
Correct.
So that's what they want. That's why they target religious institutions. I mean, they do it all the time. They burn down pro-choice. I'm sorry, not pro-choice. Pro-life clinics, which are funded by nonprofit religious institutions. They hate God.
Yeah, charities.
They hate God. They have said as much. And if you're an atheist, okay, that's fine. But the fact is we still have to have some type of moral objectiveness, and they're attacking the very institution that gives us those things. And without those things, we cannot have a stable, political, lawful system. Anyway.
So, with all that, we are going to get into Biden's speech. And we're just kind of going to do a play, pause, talk sort of thing. Hopefully it doesn't get too annoying with us constantly pausing the speech.
Yeah. We were going to try to just kind of comment on Biden's speech. We actually started to watch it before we decided to do this. And I literally had to pause it like every almost 30 seconds and write down notes. And I turned to her and I'm like, we should just watch it with everybody during the video so that we can just pause it and make comments, because there's way too much.
And not only that, but I'm going to go ahead and assume that, like us, a lot of you have only seen clips and bits and pieces from talking heads. We actually want to be truthful and put everything in context and make sure that we are not doing the soundbite thing and only putting out, the sensationalism. Which, let's be honest, even in the first 5 minutes, I mean, it was pretty horrible. But there's plenty to be sensationalized. But we just wanted to be
we wanted to make our comments in context. We didn't want to do sound bites. We wanted to play the whole entire thing so you knew exactly how he's saying it, what he's saying. And to be honest with you, it's worse when you actually listen to it in full context. It's worse than the sound bites. So we're going to go ahead and start.
Right, let's do this. So we do want to make notice of something real quick. You see how this lighting here, let me go off that. Okay, so you see how this lighting, it's bright and, you can see, I know you can't really see it super clearly there, but you have two Marines here in front of the American flag and the Marine flag, and then you have an American flag draped in the background right here, and it's all lit up. Independence Hall looks nice. Everything is visible. All right, so just pay attention to the lighting as it changes.
The red and the blue isn't there yet.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Please welcome the President of the United States and Dr. Jill Biden.
It's got to be a reflection of something. Real quickly, I want you to notice when the lights actually turned on, you'll see a part of it was blue on each side of the center stage. The lighting behind them right now it's fairly bright. There's a lot of spotlights on the stage and everything like that. It's not really all that dark, to be honest with you.
It's not dark. The color has changed.
Seems to be completely normal, but that changes.
I just thought of something. I'm sorry. I want to make sure that I have the video quality turned as high as it can be. Yes, that is as high as it can be. Okay. Just wanted to make sure of that. Oh, there's the trusty teleprompter.
Was that like a hologram or something like that? I don't know.
Sort of is, yeah.
Okay.
My fellow Americans, please, if you have a seat, thank you. I speak to you tonight from sacred ground in America, Independence Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is where America...
This video doesn't really show it all.
No, it will show it, but not yet. It doesn't.
Anyway, we wanted to make a comment because we've seen other clips. This is from a different angle. We've seen other clips where when he actually goes out to the podium, those lights behind him actually start to darken and become basically what I would describe
the straight on view of it, where it's framed behind him. You can see on either side.
They start
of him,
to dim.
It just dims, and all of a sudden, it's like this hellfire is just coming up behind him on either side on the walls of Independence Hall.
Honestly, if they had left everything the way that it was, this would not have seemed that intimidating.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been as ominous.
America made its Declaration of Independence to the world more than 2 centuries ago with an idea unique among nations. And in America, we're all created equal. This is where the United States Constitution was written and debated. This is where we set in motion the most extraordinary experiment of self-government the world has ever known. With 3 simple words: we the people. We the people. These 2 documents and the ideas they embody, upon which this nation is built. They're how we became the greatest nation on earth. They're why, for more than 2 centuries, America has been a beacon to the world. But as I stand here tonight,
we agree with him up until here.
Well,
I mean, for the most part.
Yeah, no, he's right.
He's right.
So far. But the thing is
He's
this
about
is coming.
to change his tenor.
This is coming from the left, the people that have been demonizing the foundation of America from the get-go. You have the 1619 Project, which has claimed that the entire United States was founded on racism, and the Constitution is racist, and the founding fathers are racist. You know, the people that signed and wrote the Constitution that he just talked about as being fundamental. Those people are the ones that voted for him. I just want to point that out. So it's complete hypocrisy here. I don't really understand how you can say all of those things and then come out, which your base already believes that the entire country was founded on racist philosophies, and they actually have said out loud that they hate the Constitution and they want to get rid of it and abolish it. I've literally heard Democrats say the Constitution should be abolished.
Oh, yeah.
This guy right here has already said that the Second Amendment isn't absolute. That's a direct quote. And last week he said it also wasn't unlimited. Also a direct quote. So he claims to have this foundation of
respect and for our founding documents, the Declaration and the Constitution. So he says. All right, let's move on and see what next comes out of his mouth.
Equality and democracy are under assault. We do ourselves no favor to pretend otherwise.
I mean, I also agree with that.
So tonight, I've come to this place where it all began to speak as plainly as I can to the nation about the threats we face.
He's absolutely right. Equality and democracy is absolutely under attack.
Without a doubt.
But it's not from us.
About the power we have in our own hands to meet these threats, and about the incredible future that lies in front of us if only we choose it. We must never forget, we the people are the true heirs of the American experiment that began more than 2 centuries ago. We the people are burning inside of each of us the flame of liberty that was lit here at Independence Hall. The flame that lit our way through abolition, the Civil War, suffrage, the Great Depression, world wars, civil rights. That sacred flame still burns. Now in our time, as we build an America that is more prosperous, free, and just. That is the work of my presidency.
Wait, hold on.
A mission.
What did you just say?
Do you need to go back a second?
Maybe.
Okay.
Let's go back 10 seconds or so.
World wars, civil rights. That sacred flame still burns. Now in our time, as we build an America that is more prosperous, free, and just. That is.
He's claiming that it's more prosperous, free, and just right now. Is that what I got from
I
that?
think that's what he's saying.
Hold on.
To build
the work of my presidency.
That's the work of his presidency, is to build it.
Now in our time, as we build an America that is more prosperous,
build. Okay.
Free, and just.
Sorry.
That is the work of my presidency. A mission I believe in with my whole soul.
So just to be clear, prosperous.
More free, more prosperous?
Well, I just want to focus on the prosperous right now since he's a completely economic buffoon. Inflation is an all-time high, and it keeps getting worse. It is not getting better.
It's really bad.
We are trillions of dollars in debt.
Have y'all tried to buy groceries recently? Yeah.
That's been the work of his presidency, and by the way, we are almost 2 years in.
Mm-hmm.
We are almost 2 years in, and that's been the work of his presidency so far. Yeah, we're totally prosperous right now, dude. Yep.
But first, we must be honest with each other and with ourselves. Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal.
Totally agree.
Here it comes.
Why does it keep skipping like that?
I don't know.
Representing extremism that threatens in our country today is not normal.
All right, this is a problem.
Representing extremism that threatens the very.
You know what? We saw the lighting change. Let's get to the video that shows the better angle.
Yeah, sorry.
My fellow Americans, my fellow Americans.
That right there. So that's what the other video was not picking up for some reason. That complete change.
Blood red facade just coming over everything.
I mean, that atmosphere is just. Anyway, we can skip ahead.
But yeah, we'll go back to where we were.
Somewhere around there, I think.
That sacred flame still burns. We must be honest with each other and with ourselves. Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. Now, I want to be very clear up front. Not every Republican, not even the majority of Republicans are MAGA Republicans. Not every Republican embraces their extreme ideology. I know, because I've been able to work with these mainstream Republicans. But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And that is...
Okay, right there.
Yeah, let's talk about what he actually said.
I'm going to let you go first.
So, first off, he says the MAGA Republicans are, a threat to the foundations of our republic.
Extremism.
We are extremes, apparently. And then he goes on to say that MAGA Republicans don't represent the majority of Republicans. And then he goes on to say the Republican Party is dominated and intimidated by the MAGA Republicans. I'm sorry, if something is dominated by something, doesn't that mean it's like the majority, the overarching concept?
You would think. Yeah, you can't have both.
Yeah, you can't have the MAGA Republicans are the minority and they're dominating.
The Republicans that he's gotten to work with, by the way, I mean, I can name one off the bat, Liz Cheney, who just completely got completely demolished in her run for Congress and got booted out by a very, very large margin. So that's even wrong. In her home state.
It's just funny to me that...
What, she lost by 40 points?
Oh, yeah. 37, I think.
Okay.
Or
still pretty large.
Or 42. 37 was a different number from something else. So our extreme views, let's talk about our extremism for a second. We want a secure border. We want to be able to have, food that doesn't cost half of our body to pay for. So far that seems extreme to you, right? Is that pretty extreme? And it's
well, they keep claiming that we're election deniers, which he'll get into in a minute. But one of those things that they're claiming is voter suppression. Voter suppression because we want to require ID to vote. What is wrong with that?
You would think that is not a huge deal, because why would you not be able to, why shouldn't you prove you are an American citizen to vote in the American elections? I just think that's a little common sense-ish.
Right. Anyway. Continue.
Yep.
Is a threat to this country. These are hard things.
He just said it's a threat to the country. We are a threat to the country. That is not. This is somebody who's using a public platform, a sitting president, making an address to the nation, claiming that anyone who supports Donald Trump, MAGA Republicans, which by the way is like 96% of Republicans, is a threat to the nation. But he claims that's not the majority of Republicans. The majority of Republicans don't support Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Is that why he got 75 million votes? Because the majority of Republicans don't support Donald Trump? I mean, the majority of Republicans, I can tell you, don't like him personally. They're not voting for him because the dude is squeaky clean.
Right.
They're voting for him because they love his policies, because his policies actually got us in a really good economic position during the 4 years. He did way better than I ever thought anyone could, honestly. Anyway.
Pardon me, there's something I'm trying to find. I don't remember if it's from Benny Johnson or Charlie Kirk, but I'd like to read it, but we can keep going with this while I find it.
But I'm an American president, not a president of red America, blue America, but of all America. And I believe it's my duty.
He's the president of all America except for the MAGA Republicans, Donald Trump, by the way.
To love with you, to tell the truth, no matter how difficult, no matter how painful. And here, in my view, is what is true. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law.
Coming from the party that has said they want to abolish the Second Amendment. We don't respect the Constitution. Obviously, any conservative that's watching this video knows that that's all we do is respect the Constitution. That's all we want is constitutional law.
Right.
The Constitution was founded for moral people, as John Adams said. We want the Constitution. There's nothing in the Constitution that we hate. We love the Constitution because it gave us the ability to have our freedom, religious and otherwise. Yet these people want to take your free speech, First Amendment rights, Second Amendment rights. They have said so.
Yeah, it's not like they're actually trying to hide their agenda. They're straight up saying it.
Well, this is what? A projection at its greatest. There's just no other way to say this. This is completely opposite. This is completely they live in an upside down world. This is on purpose. This right here is what he's doing is on purpose. I don't know what they're doing, why they timed the speech where it is right now. I mean,
it's a really strange.
Unless I'm missing something, I've been racking my brain to think why would he be giving this speech right now, and I don't really. It's not a State of the Union, obviously, so it's not like it's a scheduled time of the year when he gives these types of speeches. This almost sounds like a wartime speech, but it's completely out of the blue. I mean, we didn't even have like a recent clash of conservatives versus liberals or anything like that. Right. There was no violence just recently at all.
Maybe that's why they needed this right now. They needed some violence.
But here's the thing: remember when we said the Mar-a-Lago raid on Trump was pretextual? Mm-hmm. Here you go. This is it.
We were wondering, what is it pretextual to?
Well, that was pretextual to this. Yeah. Because anybody who's defending Trump right now, they're extremists. They're enemies of the state. Anyway, let's continue.
Yeah. I can't find it exactly what I was looking for.
They do not recognize the will of the people.
Okay, I want to make a quick statement about that. So they do not recognize the will of the people. You watch the montage in the beginning of our video. For 20 years, they have not been recognizing the will of the people. They scream and cry whenever they lose an election. Now, if you want to claim that conservatives did the same thing in 2020, that's fine. Because to a certain degree, that's true. However,
we actually had legitimate reason to believe that there were issues.
And I'm going to be middle of the road here for a minute. I'm going to not share my personal opinion about it. I'm going to say this. Me and Nissa here, she and I were a part of how many rallies? Not going to Trump rallies, but these.
No. Like organized grassroots events.
Yep.
Where we just went out and waved flags, and it. Yeah. I don't know.
If you saw the Trump
car rallies,
the Trump rallies where they're driving up and down the interstates, we did that several times. We did we went to one place where it was downtown Clearwater.
Yeah.
And waved flags downtown.
In front of the Clearwater Courthouse.
Yeah. In front of the Clearwater Courthouse. And I can tell you from personal experience, I'm not even the amount of support, honks, waves, thumbs up we got while we were there for hours on end. Thousands and thousands of people saying, yes, go Trump, thumbs up, waving, honking. Saying, yeah, honking.
Thank you for being out here.
The thousands of those, literally thousands. I'm not even exaggerating on that number.
Right.
Literally thousands of those compared to a handful of flip-offs, F you, F Trump,
go
whatever.
Bye.
Handful. I'm not even saying that because I'm a conservative and this is the agenda I want to push. No, that was what I observed. This is what I observed in downtown Clearwater, one of the most liberal places in Florida.
Actually, yes. Downtown Clearwater is incredibly liberal.
Granted, we only had a snapshot of that in Florida, but we knew all of these rallies and everything were going on all around the country.
Oh, we had hundreds of places of this happening just in Florida alone. And
how many Biden rallies did you see?
Okay,
the go-kart rallies?
Funny story.
Of like, what, 100 people?
Funny story. We actually had a Biden rally.
Oh, yes, we did.
Down the street.
And they were in go-karts. I remember this.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about the people on the corner.
Oh,
so
yeah.
We decided, hey, let's
That's
go take a walk down there and, talk to them. We had probably 50 to 70 people lining the street by the courthouse, waving flags and signs and all that. So a couple of us walked down to the Biden rally down there where they were waving flags. I kid you not.
We could count them on two hands.
No. That day I'm thinking of in particular, there were 4 people. Now, I'm not including their children. I'm including the adults.
Well, we had the other ones that were that.
There was another day where there was.
We weren't in downtown. 9. We weren't in downtown Clearwater, but we were in the border of Largo and Clearwater on Maine.
Yeah.
And there was maybe 10 Biden supporters on the corner over there,
and they were all sitting in their lawn chairs.
Yes.
And
remember that one?
Remember
that one? We had 350 people at least in the parking lot waving Trump flags, and that was half of what we had recently, because half of those people went home after the drive rally.
Right.
Anyway, but my point is,
the enthusiasm for Trump was through the roof.
And is that enough to call like the 2020 election fraud? No, I'll give them that.
Right.
But I didn't see anybody have that kind of enthusiasm for Biden. I'm sorry. Also, Biden didn't even really campaign during 2020. He stuck his head in the basement for the entire time. Just put 2 and 2 together with the mail-in ballots which no one can track. Why did they stop the counting?
Why didn't they let people watch the counting?
Why were there, and you can look up this if you want to make sure I'm correct, because there were piles and piles of ballots that were found thrown in ditches the night of November 3rd and the morning of November 4th. It's just enough to ask questions. I'm not saying that he didn't legitimately win or not. What I'm saying is, knowing all those facts, putting them together, people covering up the windows so they can't see the vote counting, why would you do that unless you had something to hide? It doesn't make any sense. And this isn't just a typical conservative talking point. It's an actual question. It's a logical question. Why would you?
Yeah, why did you do this? We still don't have answers.
No, we don't. So does that cast Biden's legitimate win into question? I would say it does have a big question mark on it. I'm not going to say he didn't legitimately. I keep having struggling with this word. Legitimately win or not. But it does, and you know what? What's her face? Carrie Lake said the same thing when a reporter asked her that in the middle of one of her rallies. She's like, "We just asked questions. I don't see what's wrong with asking questions."
Right.
And we never got answers. We never got answers. There was never like full investigations into this stuff. I remember when Bill Barr and one of Trump's other lawyers, the Kraken or whatever, came out and said, they weren't even like courts in the states of which they were contesting the elections. No, it was a woman.
Oh, I thought
it said release the Kraken.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Her. Sorry.
I forgot her name at the moment, but I remember the courts not even allowing Trump's lawyers to bring a case. They weren't even allowing them to even present anything.
Yeah.
That just also is fishy too. You would think at least, like for instance, Al Gore got to sue for the vote count or whatever in Florida. He got to sue that. It got to the court. They had their thing. Okay, we're gonna. What did you guys have to revote?
We had a recount.
A recount.
Multiple recounts.
Recounts.
Yes.
Okay.
They're called hanging chads.
Right. We didn't get that in 2020.
No.
There were a couple. There were a couple
recounts.
There were a couple recounts here and there, but it wasn't driven. It's just these courts just completely threw out the lawyers' presentations completely. They didn't even allow them to get a hearing. Yeah. That also is fishy.
We need to keep going.
I'm sorry.
Beating a dead horse. Sorry.
Refuse to accept the results of a free election. And they're working right now.
Refusing to accept the results of the free election. This is why I said I can't.
Okay. What exactly does he mean by that? What have we done to refuse the results? Do we have people out there campaigning saying, Biden, not my president, not my president? Do we have people doing that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Have you seen everybody who was out there during Trump's presidency saying, not my president, not my president?
Times.
Yeah, that was literally bumper stickers.
He's an illegitimate president, and it's all because of Russian collusion. The Russians, Putin got him in office.
Right.
That was their whole claim.
That was their whole claim.
In the montage, you literally have quotes from Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris even agreeing with somebody about, he is a completely illegitimate president.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what did you just do? And you're calling us election deniers?
So you want to say that we did not, that we're refusing the results of a free and fair election? I really want to know, what have we done? What have MAGA Republicans done?
They claim January 6th. January 6th was a coup to overthrow the government when we actually had an official government.
It's so funny that they're so scared of January 6th. Was it good?
No. It's not.
It wasn't good.
These guys are not. These guys are not afraid of January 6th. They're not afraid of January 6th.
No, it's the people. I'm flabbergasted that there are actual legitimate human beings who live in this country who are scared to death of what happened on January 6th.
Well, it's because of the propaganda the media has been pushing.
I know.
They've been telling them that
They take it hook, line, and sinker.
that it was the most dangerous day in American history. That's what they've been told.
Unbelievable. It's so crazy.
I mean, goodness, the Boston Massacre had more people die than January 6th did. Anyway, but there was something else I was about to say.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. But they're not. These guys are not scared of January 6th. They're just perpetuating that January 6th was a coup to overthrow the government. Pretty lame coup, in my opinion. I think us conservatives probably do a better job than that if it was actually organized. Just saying.
Yeah.
And we actually had a government official he said, I have actively been involved in coup, and what you're saying, January 6th as a coup, trust me, that wasn't a coup.
Right.
He's like, as a person who has actively been involved.
Do you remember his name?
I could probably find it. We can put it on a resource.
Yeah,
put up that clip at the end of the video.
Make a note of that.
And you'll see that. Yeah. But you have a guy saying, I have actively been involved in coups across the world. He's like, trust me, January 6th was not a coup.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we'll continue. I can't promise that I can't pause it like every 10 seconds. It's ridiculous.
As I speak in state after state to give power to decide elections in America to partisans and cronies, empowering election deniers to undermine democracy itself. MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards to an...
So that little phrase right there, MAGA Republicans are, forces.
Forces.
Are determined to take the country backwards. I actually agree with him on that.
I agree with him as well.
We want to take the country back to where the government had limited power, where we weren't being spied on by the government,
where states had rights,
where free speech was actually respected on platforms.
Mm-hmm.
States had the right to govern themselves, and the Constitution was respected. So yes,
but that's
yes,
not
Mr. President.
That's not what he's going to say. We want to take it.
Yes,
back
Mr.
to.
President, we do want to take it back to there, because that's when America was a utopia.
Right.
Not this on
Equal
the verge.
justice under law and
what we're on the verge of now, especially after this speech, is a complete dystopia.
America, where there is no right to choose, no right to privacy, no right to contraception, no right to marry who you love.
So the right to contraception, I have no idea where they're getting this from.
This is a complete made up.
Is there a conservative out there saying
lie.
we are going to deny you condoms?
Yeah, nobody.
You have
is
no
saying
right.
This.
You have no right to condoms.
No one is coming after birth control.
Fair, that's fair. You don't have a constitutional right to condoms.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
nobody's making that argument.
Right. No one's trying to say you can only get condoms if you have a prescription for them. No one is doing that. Where are they getting this nonsense? They're making it up. They are spewing it. They are verbal vomiting. And the left is lapping it up like dogs. Dogs
to
vomit.
You said it, so it must be true.
They are dogs to vomit. That's what's happening right now.
They promote authoritarian leaders and they fan the flames of political violence that are...
Fan the flames of political violence. I don't know. We just have that montage.
That montage.
Like I said, that montage, context for the speech, we had multiple Democrats calling for literal violence against Republicans and Trump voters. Democrats literally burned down the country for a whole summer.
Yep. Yep. And we're the ones fanning the flames of political violence.
We had one day where we broke a couple windows and occupied the Capitol. And maybe stole a couple things from Nancy Pelosi's office. honest to God. Compared to major cities burning, big freaking whoop.
I mean, let's not even consider all of the cities. Why don't we just look at Chaz or Chop, whatever they ended up calling it at the end? I think the end of it was Chaz. Just
Goodness.
that little snippet.
Where the
You want to talk about an occupation.
Yeah, where the 7-year-old died and was not allowed to get immediate care.
Yep. I mean, come on. Don't.
And to be
don't. Biden.
To be fair, yeah, you know what? To be fair, like, and the FBI wouldn't do anything about that, but they have all the time in the world to go raid Trump's house.
Yeah.
I mean, how long was it? Was at least a month and a half.
Yeah.
That they had that block of a city completely locked down. It was multiple weeks. It wasn't even just 2 weeks. I'm pretty sure it lasted at least a month.
Yep. The only reason
and all of us were asking, like, when is the military actually going to get in there and do something about it?
The only
Nobody
reason
did anything
they even did anything about it was because they said, we're running out of supplies. We need more supplies. And so they're like, oh, I guess the show's over. We can go in now.
But here's the thing about another thought. Remember all the governors that were being called on to call in the National Guard and push against the BLM protesters and all these Antifas that were burning down the cities, and the governors refused. The liberal governors refused. The mayors were begging the governors to call in the National Guard, and the governors like, nope, not doing it. They literally sacrificed their own cities
at the altar of wokeism. They're sacrificing people's lives at the altar of woke, and they're saying that we are stoking the fires of political.
They did it to sacrifice Trump's presidency because they know Trump doesn't have the authority to call in the National Guard on those types of issues.
Right.
The president doesn't have.
The National Guard is a governor's thing. The states have.
Which is why his hands were kind of tied on that. He called on governors to do it, and they refused to do it. They wanted him to look bad, so they actually burned their own backyard. I mean, are you kidding me, guys?
All right, we gotta go.
Sorry.
We're
only 5 minutes.
Thinking about that.
We're only 5 minutes in. This is ridiculous. Anyway.
Yeah, we gotta let him talk a little bit.
Threat to our personal rights, to the pursuit of justice, to the rule of law, to the very soul of this country. They look at the mob that stormed the United States Capitol on January 6th, brutally attacking law enforcement.
Didn't
not
happen.
as insurrectionists.
Didn't happen.
Brutally attacking the people who literally were opening the door and saying, come on in.
Goodness, the lies that these people tell.
Yeah, it's lie after lie after lie. What was that joke about Obama? How do you know when Obama is lying? Oh, his mouth is open. He didn't actually lie as much as Biden.
Yeah, he was a little bit more clever about it.
He was a little more clever and he was a little more classy. Biden is just lies.
Who placed a dagger at the throat of our democracy, but they look at them as patriots. And they see their MAGA failure to stop a peaceful transfer of power after the 2020 election as preparation for the 2022 and 2024 elections.
It physically hurts to listen to this.
That's actually important, though. So that's what you just heard it. So that's what the pretext is. This midterm election, they're so scared of it because they know they're about to get demolished. They have to do this kind of stuff and they have to put all the pressure on Trump. Look how bad Trump is. Look how bad MAGA Republicans are. They're extremists. Don't vote for these guys because they're extremists. They are grasping at straws. They're so desperate. Now, I don't know why this speech is timed where it is.
Yeah,
because we're still like a month or two away from, well, more than a month, obviously, like 2.5 months away from the midterm elections. So we still have a lot to happen between now and then, which almost makes this sound like a threat before the elections. Like
I think that they are trying to make Republicans mess up.
Well, that's also true too, and we'll get into that later. Make a mental note of that.
Okay.
They tried everything last time to nullify the votes of 81 million people. This time, they're determined to succeed in thwarting
the most popular president, by the way, they're claiming. That's also another thing to add to the big question mark about his presidency is, so this really old white feeble guy got more votes than Obama did?
Right? And it's proven that he's a pedophile and a racist?
I mean, it just doesn't add up, is all I'm saying. Just doesn't. 2 + 2 does not equal 4 here.
Like, I'm sorry, I know plenty of Republicans who voted for Obama simply because they wanted to be part of the most historic presidency ever.
Not only that, I have talked to multiple Republicans who admitted that they had voted for Obama because they were scared of being called racist.
Right, because if you didn't vote for Obama, you knew
I
you were
literally
racist.
have had multiple conversations with people that said that exact thing. I didn't think that was a thing until
yet this guy here, Mr. Decrepit, he got more votes than Biden.
the guy that was
Obama?
stuck in his basement and didn't even campaign. He got 81 million votes, guys. That's what they want you to believe.
The will of the people. That's why respected conservatives like Federal Circuit Court Judge Michael Ludwig has called Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans, quote, a clear and present danger to our democracy. But while the threat to American democracy is real, I want to say as clearly as we can, we are not powerless in the face of these threats. We are not bystanders in this ongoing attack on democracy.
No, you're not bystanders. You're causing it. You are not bystanders in this threat to the democracy. He is completely right about that. They are the active participants. They are the ones who are the threat to our democratic republic.
There are far more Americans from every background and belief who reject the extreme MAGA ideology than those that accept it.
Let me just put something in perspective here. This guy's approval rating is at 38%.
And they're happy about that.
So when he talks about the majority of Americans don't even approve of the job he's doing. But he's not going to tell you that.
I guess that makes him an extremist.
Well, according to Karine Jean-Pierre.
Right, because, Karen Jean.
Because if you're not with the majority of Americans, that is extreme. That is an extreme philosophy.
That's what she said. An extremist is someone who does not have the same beliefs as the majority of Americans. That was her definition of extremism. That's dangerous, folks. That is a dangerous thing for the White House to take that stance.
Well, they have
That's like First Amendment. Bye-bye.
This is raising the temperature to levels
Hitherto yet unheard of.
We have not seen in our modern history. This is insane, guys. I mean, look at this.
We're a fourth of the way through.
And folks, it's within our power, it's in our hands, yours and mine, to stop the assault on American democracy. I believe America is at an inflection point. One of those moments that determine the shape of everything that's to come after.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, we are. Like we said, with the Mar-a-Lago raid, this is pretextual for what comes next. He's telling you that. He's telling you the same thing right now.
And now, America must choose to move forward or to move backwards, to build a future or obsess about the past, to be a nation of hope and unity and optimism, or a nation of fear.
They would like you to not obsess about the past, wouldn't they? Because the past 2 years
Wait a minute.
has been bad. Wait a minute. What do we
Hope, unity, and optimism. Okay, play.
Okay.
Division and of darkness.
Fear, division, and of darkness.
MAGA.
So what did we do for the entire lockdowns? Being scared of COVID, telling you, if you go outside, you're going to die. Put on your mask or you're going to die from COVID.
Sounds like a bunch of fear-mongering to me.
Well, it is fear-mongering. This is well, yeah, it's just the projection the projection is so heavy. It's like, oh no, guys,
That's not what we're doing. That's what they're doing.
We want hope, unity, and optimism. Optimism about what? Our economy is in the tanker. We're on the brink of another depression, practically.
We're already in a recession, contrary to whatever the White House might say.
Yeah.
We are in a recession.
You spent years telling people to be scared of a disease that most people can survive, that to most people was basically just a bad cold. And they told you to be scared of that.
They subjugated the entire population.
And honestly, the astonishing amount of people that went along with it. I mean, even conservatives were like, oh, yep, we got to wear this mask. Oh, right. Got to wear the mask because Dr. Fauci said so. And when Fauci himself said, yeah, masks don't really do anything. And then he changed his stance again. Then he changed it back. Then he said, oh, now you got a triple mask. Oh, and triple mask. And then you've got to put your face shield on. And, oh, yeah. Now you got to get boosters and vaccines and stuff like, oh, got to get that fifth booster, the one that doesn't work.
Republicans have made their choice. They embrace anger.
Rewind that.
They thrive on division and of darkness. MAGA Republicans have made their choice.
This right here, out of the entire speech that I know of, and
that phrase,
MAGA Republicans have made their choice. Okay, let me just put it this way for you. When Lenin, Mussolini, Hitler, any dictator that you can think of, Stalin, they used that exact same phraseology when they talked about the people that opposed them. They made their choice. They're the enemy. They can't be saved. So we might as well, I don't know, purge them. They can't be saved, so we got to get rid of them.
They made their choice.
This guy is using extremely dangerous rhetoric. And I'm not saying that as hyperbole.
Right. No, he's y'all, have you just Googled Hitler's speech? Because if you do, you will see so many side-by-side comparisons of this right here.
Oh, I Googled it the other day. I actually took a screenshot of it.
Yes.
I Googled it. I Googled Hitler speech. Those are the only words that I Googled. Hitler speech. And in images,
this came up.
This is the second thing that came up. The second image that came up was this.
Because it is so similar. So incredibly similar.
They embrace anger. They thrive on chaos.
Again, what did you guys do for an entire summer of 2020? Complete chaos.
Hold on, this right here. They thrive on anger and chaos. The Jews are dirty. They hang out with rats. They're no better than rats. That is exactly what the type of rhetoric was from the Nazis to get the population brainwashed into being okay with mass extermination, genocidal extermination of a race of people. This language right here.
Live not in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies. But together we can choose a different path. We can choose a better path forward to the future. A future of possibility, a future to build and dream and hope.
And remember, MAGA Republicans have made their choice, so they can't be part of this future.
And we're on that path moving ahead. I know this nation. I know you, the American people. I know your courage. I know your hearts. And I know our history. This is a nation that honors our Constitution. We do not reject it. This is a nation that believes in the rule of law. We do not repudiate it. This is a nation that respects free and fair elections. We honor the will of the people. We do not.
We honor the will of the people? Really? You honored the will of the people back in 2016 when Trump actually won the election? You honored the will of the people then, right?
You literally
Or did we forget? Did we forget about that?
Stalemate his presidency for all 4 years, and he still whooped y'all's tails. For 4 years, you tried to dishonor the will of the people because we voted him in.
Oh, that's right. It wasn't the will of the people because you claimed that Russia got him elected, calling him an illegitimate president.
Right.
But that would make you an election denier, which, according to your own logic, makes you an extremist.
Walls are coming down.
Deny it. And this is a nation that rejects violence as a political tool. We do not encourage violence. We are still an America that believes in honesty and decency and respect for others. Patriotism, liberty, justice for all, hope, possibilities. We are still, at our core, a democracy.
At our core, we're not a democracy.
We're not a
people.
democracy.
We're a republic. We are a democratic republic. We are not a democracy. I don't understand why they keep using this word.
Because they want to foist the idea that we are a straight democracy. Because in so doing,
rule.
Yes, because then they can get rid of the Electoral College. Then they can institute packing the court. They can do all kinds of things.
They respect the rule of law. They respect the rule of law. Is that why you keep calling for the abolishment of the filibuster? I'm sorry, but that. Oh, good Lord. Anyway.
And yet, history tells us the blind loyalty to a single leader and a willingness to engage in political violence is fatal to democracy.
Did y'all catch what he just said? The blind loyalty to a single leader is fatal to democracy. He's not wrong. That's absolutely true. Blind loyalty to a single leader is what has caused at least 93% of all dictatorial regimes in world history. And I think 93% is probably being overly generous. But you cannot maintain a healthy, functioning society when you have blind loyalty to a single leader. You know what that's called? That's called a cult.
The thing that they claim that we're a part of.
Right. Because here's the thing. We don't have blind loyalty to Trump.
No.
I mean, granted, there are some weirdos out there who are like, oh, Trump.
Yeah, there are.
You need to stop that. Just throwing that out. But we're not talking about those ones. Okay. We are never going to call Trump a savior. Okay? I have lambasted people for doing that. I said, no, there is only one savior and his name is Jesus Christ. Okay? So, we do not have blind loyalty to Trump. I don't even know necessarily if we have loyalty to Trump.
No.
We have loyalty
in fact,
to the policies that Trump instituted.
You know this before Mar-a-Lago. I even said, I think Trump probably needs to take a back seat and let somebody else take over from this. But I was like, to be honest with you, I didn't really think that we had another candidate.
Right.
I was like, so he might have to run, and I'd vote for him again. But I was like, he's kind of losing momentum. I think a lot of Republicans felt that way. The majority of Republicans.
But since Mar-a-Lago,
they just fired up the base.
Y'all, Trump has to run.
He definitely has to run now.
Yes. And he has to win. Because if we get another 4 years of this guy, I mean...
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think that, in my opinion, and I'm not going to try to prophesy what's coming or anything like that, but the midterm elections I think they know they're going to lose. I think they know they're going to lose badly, and they're actually doing this rhetoric for two different reasons. One, to what?
Voice.
Oh, sorry. One, to fire up the Trump voters or the Republicans to try to get them to do something stupid. Now, thankfully, we aren't this stupid. Thankfully, we know exactly what they're doing, and nobody yet is going out there and doing anything stupid. Thank God. Number two.
Please don't.
Number two, the liberals right now are also hearing this and saying, yes, that's what we need. The Republicans are a threat to our democracy. But if the Republicans win the majority in the Congress, what makes you think that they're just going to sit down and take that after being told that they're a threat to democracy? You think that they're just going to sit down and take it?
No,
they're going to be like, well, now we have to be going all full insurrection because they are a threat to our democracy. What else would you do if you knew that a certain people were a threat to democracy and now are in control of your government?
That's like enough to start something.
Well, they're trying to incite civil war.
Yeah.
They're trying to. They're trying to do this now. There's too many. I mean, I've been calling it for years. You know that.
But now you actually have the media
and people were calling me
crazy
crazy when I was like, you know what? Obama is with this race baiting and saying if you didn't vote for me, then you're a racist. If he keeps that rhetoric up, you know this because we got married around this time. I told her if they're not careful, they're going to start a civil war. We're literally on the precipice of it right now. But I got called crazy by conservatives at the time. Conservative friends are like, oh, no, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen here. Not in our country. We can't. No, that's not going to happen. You just sit down. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just a conspiracy theorist. Anyway.
For a long time, we've told ourselves that American democracy is guaranteed, but it's not. We have to defend it. Protect.
Did you ever tell yourself that American democracy was guaranteed?
Nope.
No,
I never believed it was guaranteed.
No, I'm pretty sure I grew up
because
believing that it was the blood of our brave men and women in arms that our democracy was made and kept by.
But when we say democracy, we mean a republic.
Yes. Our freedom, our liberty.
Our form of government.
They keep using this word democracy, and I would rather it be liberty. I want it to be the focus of liberty.
Well, that's what patriots have always said. Our freedom doesn't come free. Our freedom isn't guaranteed. And our system of government is also not guaranteed.
Right. And our system of government is a democratic republic. And because of that democratic republic,
should be guaranteed based on constitutional law. But when you have people in charge that completely ignore the Constitution on a daily basis, what else are you supposed to do?
Protect it. Stand up for it. Each and every one of us. That's why tonight I'm asking our nation to come together, unite behind the single purpose of defending our democracy regardless of your ideology.
Regardless of your ideology, except for MAGA Republicans.
Yeah, and defending it how? What exactly are the actionable steps there? Because he does not give specifics on what he means by defending. All he says is defend it. You know what that's going to translate to in the ears of a lot of liberals?
Well, the ones that think it's okay to actually go out and burn cities down, yeah.
Yeah, which seems to be a grand majority of them.
Well, I'm not even going to claim that it's a majority of them, but they're definitely loud.
Yeah.
They're definitely louder than the liberals that, because we haven't really seen...
Oh my goodness, we're not even halfway through.
We haven't even really seen, like, any really prominent liberals actually completely calling out those people for their
nobody will call out BLM and Antifa.
I'm sure there's probably a few. I'm not gonna claim that there isn't. There's probably a few.
Sorry.
But they're definitely not prominent ones.
Hyperbolic. Oh, the cropping seals.
We're all called by duty and conscience to confront extremists who put their own pursuit of power above all else.
Except for BLM and Antifa.
Democrats, independents, mainstream Republicans. We must be stronger, more determined, and more committed to saving American democracy than MAGA Republicans are to destroying American democracy.
When he says mainstream Republicans, he's talking about like 4% of the Republican Party.
Yeah.
The one that is not. Oh, they're MAGA Republicans are not the majority of the Republican Party. Oh, I'm sorry. 75 million people voted for Trump. That is half of the country.
Somebody should probably tell him that MAGA stands for Make America Great Again.
We, the people, will not let anyone or anything tear us apart. Today, there are dangers around us we cannot allow to prevail.
Man, that's dangerous speech.
We hear, you've heard it, more and more talk about violence as an acceptable political tool in this country. It's not. It can never be an acceptable.
What conservative has said that violence is an acceptable political tool? And how many liberals have said violence is an acceptable political tool? We literally just had Sam Harris say that Hunter Biden could have had dead kids in his basement. He still wouldn't have cared as long as it didn't let Trump win.
Yeah, he actually said that bin Laden was not as bad as Trump. Bin Laden.
But I have heard Democrats and liberals say, well, as long as it keeps Trump out of office, I'm willing to skirt the Constitution, the rules. I'm willing to cheat on an election. Sam Harris literally said that. He's like, even if Biden didn't win, I'm sorry, was it Sam Harris or was it somebody else that I'm quoting?
Sam Harris was the one who said that it was good that Facebook suppressed the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Yeah, actively affecting the outcome of an election.
Yeah.
He's like, that was acceptable to keep Trump out of office. These are the same people that claim that.
And yet he's saying that we're saying political violence is acceptable. I don't know of any conservative talking heads who have called.
I would like to know of one.
violence.
If anybody knows of one that they can point to, I would love to hear it.
Yeah.
Post the link in the comments.
Because, hey, we will carte blanche right now say political violence, ixnay, absolutely not okay, don't do it, bad juju, like condemn. Is that obvious enough for everybody? Political violence, condemned. 2 thumbs way down. I don't.
But yet you have Democrats who literally were defending their violence for political gain.
Right. They were saying it was necessary. It was needed. I mean, you can just do a cursory glance at people's Twitter pages and you can see that they were like, oh, yeah, well, what BLM did was necessary.
To these people, the ends justify the means.
Right.
Tool. So I want to say this plain and simple. There is no place for political violence in America, period.
Okay, you heard him.
Ever.
You heard him.
No place
for
political violence.
For political violence. So any violent liberals, after this point, I'm going to call you a hypocrite.
We saw law enforcement brutally attacked on January the 6th.
Lie.
We've seen election officials, poll workers, many of them volunteers of both parties, subject to intimidation and death threats. And can you believe it? FBI agents.
You mean death threats like Justice Kavanaugh? Somebody who tried to assassinate him just because they
didn't like his ruling on something, or what they thought was going to be his ruling on something. And not only him, but his family as well.
Or what about the Jen Psaki, the speaker for the press speaker for the White House, saying that protesting outside of Supreme Court justices' homes was completely fine, which it actually isn't. It's actually against the law. And these people want to say that they're for the rule of law.
Yeah.
And they literally said that is completely fine. That is actually illegal.
She actually encouraged it. And political violence, how about, going even before Justice Kavanaugh, how about Scalia How about that baseball game?
Yeah, the guy that showed up and shot a bunch of Republicans at a baseball game.
Huge Bernie supporter.
Yep.
And it was politically motivated. He straight up said it was politically motivated. Come on, guys. Wake up and smell the juju beans.
Keep using that word. What's juju anyway?
Juju can mean all kinds of stuff.
Juju. Anyway, all right. It sounds like a boba tea or something like that.
Well, actually, I think it is some kind of foreign tea, but juju.
I mean, I know bad juju.
Yeah,
That's
juju
bad
is
juju.
like bad juju. Like it's a weird kind of aura that's no good, negative energy kind of thing.
You've just been
but
really liking that word tonight anyway.
Just doing their job as directed, facing threats to their own lives from their own fellow citizens. On top of that, there are public figures today, yesterday, and the day before predicting and all but calling for mass violence and rioting in the streets.
Okay, first off, he's talking about Lindsey Graham, I think, right there, where he said if they indict Trump and arrest him, there's going to be violence in the streets. First off, I think
he said there's going to be
there's
riots,
gonna be riots.
in the street, and people switched his wording literally directly after playing a clip. CNN did this directly after playing a clip of Lindsey Graham saying there will be riots in the streets. He said there will be blood in the streets. Not 10 seconds after the clip of him saying there will be riots, they switched
I actually
his
don't
wording.
remember the exact phraseology that he used. I remember he said that there's going to be riots.
Yeah, that's what he said. There's going to be riots in the streets.
He
And
didn't
then
say
they
blood in the
stopped.
streets?
No, not what I'm referencing. And then they stopped the clip and they said, he just said there will be blood in the streets. I was like, did I hear and see something different?
Either way, to me that was an incredibly stupid thing for him to say. Because,
Yes, it was incredibly
because
stupid.
again, that even if he thinks that that's true, that still is raising the temperature.
Yes.
It might not be on purpose.
But he still wasn't calling for that. He was
wasn't
making
calling
a
for it.
prediction
And
of something
secondly,
that
I think
was
I think he's just flat out wrong.
do
Conservatives
too.
are not going to go out there and riot
No.
because they indict Trump or we might protest. I have no doubt there's going to be protests if that happens.
Sure.
But rioting is a completely different thing. Rioting, but hey, if you riot, guys, that's actually okay because that's a peaceful protest.
This is inflammatory. It's dangerous. It's against the rule of law. And we, the people, must say, this is not who we are.
Yes, it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, we can't be pro-insurrectionist and pro-American. They're incompatible. We can't.
Okay, hold on one second. I just want to say something real quick because I'm sorry. Our whole entire country was founded on an insurrection to the British Empire. So you can't be
Here's
pro-insurrection.
to insurrection.
You can't be pro-American and pro-insurrection. Well,
to be American is to be pro-insurrection.
to be well,
Maybe
yeah,
not
and
modern insurrection, but I mean,
well, but here's the thing. No,
ironic
you can't.
statement.
You can't be pro rule of law and for insurrection.
Right.
But to say that you can't be pro-American
Pro-insurrection
and pro-American and pro-insurrection. Our country was literally founded on an insurrection.
Yeah.
It was a self-defense insurrection.
But an insurrection nonetheless. The irony.
Allow violence to be normalized in this country. It's wrong. We each have to reject political violence with all the moral clarity and conviction this nation can muster. Now.
Moral clarity. The moral clarity of the party that aborts children after they're born. Wants to abort children after they're born. Minutes after they're born. That's the most extreme part of them. The other parts want to just mutilate them and suck them out of the womb.
And this is also the party that wants to chop off healthy
And I'm sorry, but
children.
What moral code are they actually going to cite or quote anyway?
Right. Where
because
is the clarity?
most of these people don't even have a moral code in which they in which they can refer to.
They operate on a basis of, well, it feels right, so I'm going to go with that. That's not moral clarity. That is moral gobbledygook.
You just like all the weird words tonight.
I'm having to say the weird words because
Do you need more coffee?
No, my fed up level is to hear with this person. So I'm having to
We can't curse.
I'm having to reach way down deep into the barrel of weird words to come up with things to say that express how passionately
By the way,
I am feeling right now.
Yeah, real quickly, one of our what do you call it? Most common viewers, MKFD. This shirt is for you. You said last time you wanted to see our the flag on one of our shirts. Here you go. And this shirt is, by the way, compliments of one of my best friends.
So what I said I wanted is I want that shirt, but I want the back of it to be the no step on snack.
Yeah, I think that'd be
So the don't tread on me on the front and no step on snack on the back.
That'd be funny.
I want that. Anyway.
Are you done?
Yep.
Okay.
Gobbledygook.
Yeah. Just they claim moral high ground, and they can't even cite a moral code in which they're claiming that moral high ground. So what moral code are you claiming moral ground on? Because I'll hear you out and I'll listen if you have one, but I don't think you have one because I haven't run across one yet that has been able to cite a moral
and
code.
hardly any of them actually agree on what their moral ethics are.
Right. I mean, well, yeah, Biden, who claims to be a Catholic, yet he's pro-abortion, which is something that is completely anti-Catholic. Anyway.
We can't let the integrity of our elections be undermined. For that is a path to chaos.
Sorry, guys.
Look, I know politics can be fierce and mean and nasty in America. I get it. I believe in the give and take of politics, in disagreement and debate and dissent. We're a big, complicated country.
Real quick, I don't want to make this long. He believes in
longer.
He believes in the give and take in politics.
And he believes in disagreement and dissent.
At what point have the Democrats actually abided by the give and take? I want to know
It's
exactly.
just been constant take. Where's the give?
And the Republicans have constantly just given it like, okay, fine, we'll do this, and we keep giving them ground, and they never give us anything back.
Constant concessions.
Democracy endures only if we, the people, respect the guardrails of the republic. Only if we, the people, accept the results of free and fair elections. Only if we, the people, see politics not as total war, but mediation of our differences. Democracy cannot survive when one side believes there are only two outcomes to an election. Either they win or they were cheated. And that's where the matter is.
Guys, come on. You literally did this in
Montage
2016.
at the beginning of the video.
You literally did this in 2016. You refused to accept the fact that you lost.
For 4 years. 4 years you
refused
to accept. For 4 years.
Come on. It's like they have the memory of a toad.
Republicans are today.
Liar.
They don't understand what every patriotic American knows.
Liar.
You can't love your country only when you win. It's fun.
Okay, so the funny thing, there's actually a statistic that Gallup polls have constantly shown that liberals literally only are patriotic when their person is in office.
Yes, Democrats only show patriotism and only feel a sense of pride in their country when a Democrat is the president.
All other times, they've actively said that they hate the country. And you've actually heard. I mean, I'm assuming that you're a high information viewer, whoever's viewing this. You have heard yourself that Democrats hate America. They hate America. They hate our country. They've said this. Okay. Conservatives, however, in the same poll, have consistently showed that they stay patriotic
regardless
of who's in office. Continue.
Fundamental. American democracy only works only if we choose to respect the rule of law and the institutions that were set up in this chamber behind me. Only if we respect our legitimate political differences. I will not stand by and watch. I will not the will of the American people be overturned by wild conspiracy theories.
But I have no idea what he said there. I can't even make out. I'm not going to even bother to rewind. But hey, I am going to give him credit. This is the most at least like the
coherent
he's been I've heard him in a long time.
Legitimate political. Yeah. That's what he said. Legitimate political. I don't know what he was trying to say.
But I am actually super impressed that the dude has not killed over yet. Anyway.
He's got to be on so many drugs for this speech.
And baseless evidence-free claims of fraud. I will not stand by and watch elections in this country stolen by people who simply refuse to accept that they lost.
Again, 2016. What did you guys do then?
I will not stand by and watch the most fundamental freedom in this country, the freedom to vote, and have your vote counted and be taken from you and the American people. Look.
Okay, so what conservative, seriously, name one, what conservative out there is saying we shouldn't count all the votes?
And if he's saying he will not stand by while this happens, what is he going to do? That's my question. What is his plan of what he's going to do?
I mean, I don't know.
Because he's setting up in people's minds that he can't stand idly by while this stuff happens. So he's setting up in people's minds that he's going to have to do something. What is his plan of what he's going to do? It's a little bit scary to think about.
As your president, I will defend our democracy with every fiber of my being, and I'm asking every American to join me.
And sounds like a call to arms to me, but whatever.
Throughout our history, America's often made the greatest progress coming out of some of our darkest moments, like your hearings at Bullhorn.
Hold on, y'all.
I believe we can and must do that again.
I think we just had a mousetrap go off.
And we are.
Continued.
Sorry about that.
We had a mousetrap go off and caught one, honestly. So we had to go take care of that.
And
anyways,
then take care of baby. So we're going to go back just about 10 seconds to get ourselves some context here. Sorry.
Of some of our darkest moments, like your hearings at Bullhorn. I believe we can and must.
Oh, right. So the bullhorn that he's referencing, I don't know how well you can hear it, but in some other clips I've seen, you can hear it much better. He's yelling like, "Let's go, Brandon," and FJB. Mm-hmm. So
anyways,
he's calling that the darkest moment of our history because someone doesn't like him personally. That's the darkest moment of our history coming from that bullhorn.
If only presidents had the ability to respond to hecklers the way Ronald Reagan did.
Oh,
it would be amazing. Anyway,
let's do that again, and we are. MAGA Republicans look at America and see carnage and darkness and despair. They spread fear and lies told for profit and power. But I see a different America, an America with an unlimited future, an America that's about.
That is true. We totally see completely different Americans.
Right.
That is absolutely true, Mr. President.
About to take off. I hope you see it as well. Just look around.
Come on, man.
I believe we could lift America from the depths of COVID. So we passed the largest economic recovery package since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And today, America.
Economic recovery.
We passed the largest economic recovery package.
True under pressure. Anyway.
I don't know what he was trying to say there, but okay. You passed something.
What?
Just keep going.
economy is faster, stronger than any other advanced nation in the world. We have more to go.
I'm sorry, do you live in the same economy that we do right now? Because we're in a recession, dude.
And he's saying we're growing and coming back faster and stronger and better.
Yeah, this is something that Karine Jean-Pierre, I don't know how to say her stupid name.
That's why I call her Karen Jean-Pierre.
That's good. Karen Jean-Pierre. Karen Jean-Pierre keeps saying, "Oh, the economy is doing great." We're technically not in a recession, guys, even though the 2 quarters of
Did you notice how
GDP growth
particular she was when she said that we're doing better than we have been historically? That is such an open-ended statement. Like, historically when? Historically than before we were a country?
Anyway,
yeah, we're doing better.
These guys do not live in the same economy that we do. I have
don't
no
live
idea.
in the same reality.
I don't know what country these guys are living in, but it's not ours.
I believe we could build a better America. So we passed the biggest infrastructure investment since President Dwight D. Eisenhower. And we've now embarked on a decade of rebuilding the nation's roads, bridges, highways, ports, water systems, high-speed internet, railroads. I believe we could make America...
Everything but a pipeline. Everything but a pipeline.
Which is what we desperately
The thing
need.
that we would actually completely have immediate economic benefits from.
Safer.
Being completely fuel independent. Everything but fuel independent.
Which is the one thing that would absolutely...
Energy independent.
Yes, energy. And that would absolutely cut this inflation so much, because then we wouldn't have to be going everywhere else outside the country to sustain us.
So we passed the most significant gun safety law since President Clinton. I believe we could go from being the highest cost of prescriptions in the world to making prescription drugs and healthcare more affordable. So we passed the most significant healthcare reform since President Obama signed the Affordable Care.
Okay, one thing I will give them credit for, even though they like lapped on a crud ton of other things that had nothing to do with it. One thing I will give them credit for is the lowering the prices for pharmaceutical drugs. That is something I have been talking about for a long time. That's something I was talking about. I remember I was having a discussion about that with a Democrat friend of mine.
Yeah.
Before Trump even got voted in.
Right.
I said this is where we need to start doing the top down drug prices, because the pharmaceutical companies really need to be now.
Especially in the case of for diabetes, like you have people who are insulin dependent, and to charge them a 900% markup on insulin injections is absolutely wrong.
Well, that's
the
thing. And I was telling my Democrat friend, I was like, this is where we need to really attack the healthcare industry, is the pharmaceutical companies. We need to put limits on how much they can mark their stuff up. And, libertarians are like for fully unlimited free market, which does lend itself to crony capitalism, which does exist. Crony capitalism does exist. That's why the free markets do need to be regulated. The Republicans that don't think that the free market needs to be regulated are missing the point for the government's ability to actually stabilize an economy. Okay, there are regulations that make sense, that can work. Putting pressure on pharmaceutical companies is one of them. But we're not going to even pretend like the Democrats are not in the pharmaceutical companies' pockets, and that money is not coming from somewhere else.
Correct. And I believe we could create a clean energy future and save the planet. So we passed the most important climate initiative ever.
Real quick, so California passed a law to ban gas-powered cars by the year 2035. The other day, they said, if you could not charge your electric car today, that'd be great, because we don't have enough energy to sustain it.
Our power grid can't handle it.
Morons.
Cynics and the critics tell us nothing can get done, but they're wrong. There is not a single thing America cannot do, not a single thing beyond our capacity if we do it together. It's never easy, but we're proving that America, no matter how long the road, progress does come.
What has been the progress of your presidency?
I know the last few years have been tough, but today, COVID
Yes, they've been tough because of your policies.
You're the reason they've been tough. Yes, Mr. President, you're right. The last few years
Who is to
have
blame
been
for
tough.
no longer controls our lives. More Americans are working than ever. Businesses are growing. Our schools are open. Millions of Americans have been lifted out of poverty. Millions of veterans once exposed to toxic burn pits will now get what they deserve for their families and their compensation.
If you don't know anything about that bill that they passed with the VA, the VA thing was good. That was a good thing to pass. But the problem is they lopped on all of this other crud onto the same bill that had nothing to do with it, which is why Republicans were like, no, you have all this other radical stuff attached to it, we're not going to pass it.
American manufacturing has come alive across the heartland, and the future will be made in America. No matter what the whites...
Okay, so Trump is a racist and a bigot and a dictator for wanting to bring American jobs back to American soil. But when he does it, then it's great.
That the trade seals clap for.
It's a good thing.
Supremacists and the extremists say, I made a bet on you, the American people.
What does white supremacy have anything to do with American manufacturing? Please explain that to me. American manufacturing, white supremacists are out there. No, we don't want American jobs on American soil. You're
white
looking.
Supremacists want to outsource things to China.
So any neo-Nazis out there that are claiming that we don't want jobs here on American soil? No, I'm pretty sure. Actually, if you are a neo-Nazi, that means you're at least a nationalist, right? Which means you're probably for nation first, at the very least. You have a bunch of other screwed up ideologies for sure. But one of the things are neo-Nazis are actually nationalists.
Yeah. It's tough.
Any neo-Nazis out there saying that, or white supremacists saying, no, we don't want American jobs here on our shores? Okay, whatever. I don't see what that has to do with anything. I don't know why that's racist. Why in the world is that argument being racist?
And that bet is paying off, proving that from darkness, the darkness of Charlottesville, of COVID, of gun violence, of insurrection.
Just a few more minutes. Let's try to get through it.
We can see the light. Light is now visible. Light that will guide us forward, not only in words, but in act.
I'm sorry, but the irony of him talking about how much light there is when he's standing in front of this satanic, hellish landscape behind him.
I know, it's pretty ironic.
Actions for you, for your children, for your grandchildren, for America. Even in this moment.
Imagine Nemo and Dory when they're down in the depths, sort of. I see a light. It's pretty. Anyway.
Moment, with all the challenges we face, I give you my word as a Biden, I've never been more optimistic about America's future.
His word as a Biden, guys. His word as a Biden is super trustworthy.
Totally
by the
reliable.
Way. Yep.
His word is
100%.
Biden.
His word, yep.
Because of me, but because of who you are. We're going to end cancer as we know it. Mark my words. We're going to create millions of new jobs in a clean energy economy.
That's a pretty bold statement. We're going to end cancer.
Cancer as we know it.
Wow, guys. We're going to end. Okay, nope. That's it. I'm voting for him because he said he's going to end cancer, even though I have no idea how he's going to do that. He said it, so I'm for it.
End
Let's do
cancer
it.
as we know it.
Think big. We're going to make the 21st century another American century because the world needs us to.
Does that mean it's an American
That's
century?
where we need to focus our energy. Not in the past, not on divisive culture wars, not on the politics of grievance, but on the future we can build together. The MAGA Republicans believe that for them to succeed, everyone else has to fail. They believe America, not like I believe about America. I believe America is big enough for all of us to succeed. And that is the nation we're building. And
that is literally
That's what
what
we believe.
conservatives
That is
believe.
the conservative viewpoint, is that this country is big enough for everyone to succeed. We believe that the foundational principles of this country are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if you are willing to strive for and to work for what you want, that you can achieve it. That is what we believe. That is not what he believes. Do not let this man lie to you.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Nation where no one is left behind. I ran for president because
no one's left behind, guys, except for the 13 Marines that we left in Kabul.
I believe we're in a battle for the soul of this nation. I still believe that to be true. I believe the soul is the breath, the life, and the essence of who we are. The soul is what makes us us. The soul of America is defined by the sacred proposition that all are created equal in the image of God, that all are entitled to be treated with decency, dignity, and respect, that
Except
all
for MAGA
deserve
Republicans.
justice and a shot at lives of prosperity and consequence.
Except for MAGA
And that
Republicans.
democracy must be defended, for democracy makes all these things possible.
Democracy, guys.
Buzzword.
Democracy. Let's see
And
how many
it's up to
times we
us.
can say it.
Democracy begins and will be preserved in we, the people's habits of the heart, in our character, optimism that is tested yet endures, courage that digs deep when we need it, empathy that fuels
I can hear it
democracy,
more clearly now.
the willingness to see each other not as enemies but as fellow Americans. Look,
What did you just get done saying? MAGA Republicans are enemies of the state. They made their choice, and now you're saying we can't see each other as enemies? What did you just get done saying?
He is bipolar.
our democracy isn't perfect. It always has been. Notwithstanding those folks you hear on the other side there, they're entitled to be outrageous. This is a democracy. But history and common sense.
I think he meant outraged, not outrageous.
But we're not allowed to be outraged.
Right.
He just said we're entitled to it, but they actively try to shut us down. Remember when the Biden administration actually colluded with major social media platforms to suppress conservative arguments, labeling it as misinformation? Remember that? Yeah. You didn't hear about that because you weren't supposed to.
Good manners is nothing they've ever suffered from. But history and common sense tell us that
What did you just say?
Good manners is nothing they've ever suffered from. We're the ones who have no manners? What is this guy on?
opportunity, liberty, and justice for all are most likely to come to pass in a democracy. We have never fully realized the aspirations of our founding, but every generation has opened those doors a little bit wider to include more people who have been excluded before. My fellow Americans, America is an idea, the most powerful idea in the history of the world, and a beast in the heart.
According to your base, America is racist and needs to be
fundamentally changed, dripped out to its roots.
So please make up your mind.
Supplanted.
Please make up your mind. This is my point. America is only great when they're in power. When they're not in power, then it's racist and it needs to be completely... We've had Democrats say that we deserve to be nuked.
Yeah.
hearts of the people of this country. It beats in all our hearts. It unites America. It is the American creed, the idea that America guarantees that everyone be treated with dignity. It gives hate no safe harbor. It installs in everyone the belief that no matter where you start in life, there's nothing you can't achieve. That's who we are. That's what we stand for. That's what we believe. And that's precisely what we're doing. Opening doors, creating possibilities, focusing on the future. And we're only just beginning. Our task is to make our nation free and fair, just and strong, noble and whole. And this work is the work of democracy, the work of this generation. It is the work of our time, for all time. We can't afford to leave anyone on the sidelines. We need everyone to do their part. So speak up, speak out, get engaged, vote, vote, vote. And if we do...
I feel like he's been hanging out with Kamala Harris a little bit too much there at the end. It turned into a word salad. And
it ended up being completely meaningless.
Yeah.
Our duty. If we do our duty in 2022 and beyond, then ages still to come will say, we, all of us here, we kept the faith. We preserved democracy. We heeded our worst. We heeded not our worst instincts, but our better angels. We proved that for all its imperfections, America is still the beacon to the world, an ideal to be realized, a promise to be kept.
Again, according to your base, America was never the beacon to the world. It was the evil that it perpetuated on the world.
Right.
Please make up your mind.
There's nothing more important, nothing more sacred, nothing more American. That's our soul. That's who we truly are. And that's who we must always be. I have no doubt, none, that this is who we will be. And that we'll come together as a nation that will secure our democracy. That for the next 200 years, we'll have what we had the past 200 years, the greatest nation on the face of the earth. We just need to remember who we are. We are the United States.
We have had active Democrat politicians say that America was never the greatest nation in the world. And this was under Trump. They said that. No, but now...
But now that Biden is there, we were the greatest nation again. The hypocrisy is rampant. I have a headache.
My headache's actually gone now.
Oh, I'm happy for you. He's given me one.
States of America, the United States of America. And may God protect our nation, and may God protect all those who stand watch over our democracy. God bless you all. Democracy. Thank you.
Democracy, guys. Democracy.
Seriously, though, he reminded me of Kamala Harris there a little bit when she was talking about space. Space. It's so big, and it just fills us with awe, and it binds us together. Like, do you remember that speech? Oh, and don't forget about her classic.
It almost sounds
the
like she was
passing of time.
It almost sounds like she was quoting Obi-Wan and the Force. Like, it surrounds us, it moves through us, it binds us together. Okay, that's what space does. Well, I mean, I can't breathe out in space, so I know Kamala, but whatever.
I still think my favorite of hers is the passage of time thing.
Let me see how many times.
The passage of time. Okay.
Again, they're just using this.
It's buzzwords. It's a bunch of buzzwords.
So what's funny to me is the thing that made it completely obvious was his ending. Democracy. That was completely out of context. What? Okay, democracy. Yeah. All right, I hear you.
I'm just going to shout a random
What
word.
is your point? Exactly? Just democracy? Is that all you got? Sorry. Okay.
Democracy.
This is the most divisive speech I've ever heard a president give, hands down. And I know that Trump would use a lot of hyperbole in his speeches.
Yeah.
This is nothing compared to those things. He never demonized the complete.
Trump was nothing compared to this, is what you meant.
Right.
Yeah.
He never demonized a complete movement, a complete.
No, he would demonize a particular individual, like, Rosie
Well,
McDonald.
he did call out Antifa, and he did call
Right,
BLM,
but they
rightfully
were-
so, because they were
Yes.
actively burning things down.
And they are a group. They are an organization. They are not a movement. These people, they want to call BLM and Antifa a movement and not an organized group. I'm sorry, they're wrong. BLM is an organization. Antifa is an organization. They have leadership, they have hierarchy, they have cells in different parts of the country, they mobilize. It is an organization. It is not an idea. They seriously have been calling Antifa an idea. Well, you can't label an idea a terrorist organization. But guess what? Antifa, it's an organization. It is not an idea. Being an anti-fascist individual makes you subscribe to certain ideas, but Antifa is actually fascist. Legitimately fascist.
Yeah, they keep using this word fascist, and I don't think they know what it means.
No, you keep using this word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Anyway, well, so after the speech, apparently the next morning he completely forgot what he said.
Peter
Ducey called him out. Roll clip.
All right.
Mr. President, do you consider all Trump supporters to be a threat to the country?
No, everyone.
Come on, look, guys. You keep trying to make that case. I don't consider any Trump I do think anyone who calls for the use of violence fails to condemn violence when it's used, refuses to acknowledge when an election has been won, insists upon changing the way in which the rules you count votes. That is a threat to democracy.
So, yeah, he completely forgot that he called Trump supporters against a threat to the democracy and everything. And that was just, less than 24 hours later. He's like, no, I don't think that Trump supporters are a threat to the Republic. Come on. Do we actually believe that this man is fit for duty? Because I don't.
So what I find interesting, though, is that only 2 networks aired this speech. Not even all networks aired the speech. I mean, CBS, NBC didn't air it. I think the only ones that... Who was it? CNN?
CNN and...
can't remember the other one.
Fox aired it, but it was during Tucker Carlson, so Tucker
He did
was
a
talking
commentary on it.
instead of actually watching it. But yeah, I don't remember the other outlet. But what
There's
I
only
found
two.
out
There's only
something
2 that
interesting.
aired it.
So CNN actively tried to manipulate the color balance during the speech
Really?
so that it would not appear so hellscape-ish.
Did they really?
Yes. I just found that out actually in one of these breaks that we had here in the video.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, whoever actually chose that backdrop, I'm sorry, you should be fired.
Yeah.
Like, unless
make a
you're
note.
you're making it completely obvious. What's
I
that?
want to find that video and link it in the
What
description
video?
of CNN live on air manipulating the color balance, because I found a video of someone showing what CNN did, and they live on air manipulated the color balance to try to make this look
So
not
yeah.
so blood red and creepy.
Right. So another thing, I was actually scrolling Twitter the day after this speech aired, and you had just a line of conservatives showing a photo of Biden with his fists in the air against this blood red backdrop. And then we had I scrolled through some of the comments, and some of these liberals were like, "You didn't pan out," and they show before he even walked out to the podium.
Yeah,
the lighting before
the lit up Independence Hall that we showed you at the beginning.
But it was completely bright and everything. They're like, "You didn't pan out. You didn't see the whole thing." No, we did. It's just in context. In context, he was at the podium and then completely darkened. You just saw it. We showed it for you before.
And that's why we wanted to show this thing from start to finish, because there is important context here. And you do have people on Twitter who are only doing sound bites and who are only doing little clips here and there, and they are not showing everything. And it's even more terrifying in its totality. The sound bites don't even do it justice of how terrifying this actually is.
So anyway, guys, keep your head on a swivel because something's going on. And I think it's all going to come to a head, in my opinion, in the midterm elections. They know that they're completely done for in the midterm elections. They might try to pull something off, but they have to get their base and us fired up for another collision. They're trying to incite civil war. There's no doubt about it at this point.
Yeah. I mean, you have people legitimately discussing civil war in like every media outlet at this point.
Over what was it? Nearly half the country. I think it was 40%. It wasn't 40%. It was 42 or 43%. It was something else.
Oh, last I heard was 40%.
I could double check that, but it was over 40%. It was over 40% of people think that it's either highly likely or somewhat likely that we are headed into a civil war, and that is a poll taken from everybody. That's the entire country. Nearly half the country thinks that we're headed for civil war. When you have that, that's pretty scary to think about. The media hasn't even been talking about the Civil War up until, like, actively saying those words on air until about a year and a half ago. And once the media starts talking about it, it's really hard to stop that ball from rolling. And especially with people actually talking about it now, a collision's going to happen. It's going to happen. We don't want it to happen, but a collision is coming, and they're actively trying to push it right here, as you can see. Anyway, do you have anything else? Because I think I'm done.
No, just thank you all for bearing with us this long. Like and subscribe if you're new. Comment below, please.
And share.
It's good for the algorithm. Please share the video as well.
If you want more content, you got to share our videos.
Yes. We are doing our best to hit that first 100 subscriber mark. So please tell your friends about us. And I mean, we are open to additional types of content. I mean, this is new. So we're trying out new things, seeing what works. We're going to try to do some more shorter form video. I think it's just that, yeah, that when we actually do get the chance to sit down and record, we just have so much on our plate that we want to say. It's difficult to fit it into an hour or less because
really,
we're busy, and you know, we're parents.
And things happen so fast during the week and everything. Just there's a whole lot of information that we want to catch up on.
And there is so much happening at one time right now.
Yeah,
it's insane. Yeah. But we appreciate you. We're praying for you. Y'all pray for us, please. This is a weird time to be alive, but God bless you guys.